And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. I'm not gonna keep doing that, don't worry. I'm actually in a pretty good mood today because I got the closure to this whole work drama that I've been waiting on. And I did it my way. Sorry, I'll stop. That's not even true, it most certainly was not my way. Where did we leave off last time? Oh yes, the meeting. The meeting with Jenny, director, and Mary to ask, again, if the company can simply help me pay for work trips they want us to work at. The bare minimum of what one would expect them to do. Well, let me hit you with the cold water. It never happened. It never happened, and it never will happen. What did happen was, I guess, a meeting with Jenny, director, HR, CEO, and maybe a few others. And here's the big news, the big update. The season finale you've all been salivating over for months. I got fired. Literally canned for being too poor. And I recorded it. I'll be playing that for you shortly, but no matter how HR tries to spin it or word it, it boils down to me not having enough money to work for them. Not only did I get fired, but my coworker that I introduced in the last video, Julian, the one who's been by my side through all of this, they canned him too. Mickey, that puts you in a good mood? Not at all, reused asset Mark Zuckerberg. In fact, I think I'm about to go through an extremely hard time. But the thought of not being tied down to this miserable company and starting over is somehow both terrifying and freeing. It's like the feeling of a fresh start, but you're always looking over your shoulder. And if you're watching this and disgusted by how greedy corporations can essentially change someone's entire life overnight, then fight against it. You know, if this little series has taught me and all of us anything, you and me alone can't change the corporate structures that benefit the few, but I bet all of us together can. Real quick before I get too deep into this video, and forgive me, I don't really know a great spot to place this. It just feels awkward, so please stick around, stay with me. Some of you in the comments asked if I had a Patreon account that you could go to and support me. And while you absolutely do not have to give me anything, I'm happy to say that I did set up a Patreon for those of you asking. I really want to give everyone something in return, but if you just want to support me and my channel, you can do the supporter tier at just $5 a month, and in return you get your name highlighted in my videos. If you want to help me build a community and access bonus content, including original cartoons of mine, Mickey's short stories, and even some unreleased videos, then check out Mickey's Tea Room for $10 a month. But the main thing I'm excited about that tier is that you also get access to Mickey's Tea Room, a Discord server where we can chat freely about new video topics, just simple day-to-day life, and share our crazy stories, or spill the tea if you will. I just want to hear from you all, and I'm open to feedback on all of this. I've never done Patreon, and I welcome all of your suggestions. I think we can have a good time over there and really build something positive. And in addition to all of that, I'm going to start being even more active here on YouTube. I'm going to try and post even more videos, at least 2 a week. But forgive me if I can only squeeze out one for the time being, as I navigate some uncertain waters. But again, I've been having so much fun chatting with you all and reading your own stories, and I hope that after this video you stick around and hear more stories from me. Honestly, I would love to make this a full-time job, so if you do want to support me separate from Patreon, please consider subscribing to this channel and like and hype and share my videos. Boost me in the algorithm if you feel I've earned it. Thank you so much for all of your support. Alright, awkward plug over, here's the tea. I got to my desk Wednesday morning and started my day as usual. I started chopping away at some video edits and even recorded a voiceover for a new commercial the company wanted for their website. They won't be getting that anymore. What I didn't do that morning was check my calendar. So when 9:20 a.m. came around, I was kind of surprised to see a notification pop up that said I had a meeting in 10 minutes. Curious, I checked the meeting details and my stomach tied itself into several very tight knots. The meeting was with my manager Jenny, me, and HR. The dreaded trio of work meetings. Now, me being optimistic as I am, I didn't fully panic yet. I thought maybe this was a legitimate update for the expenses situation. And in a way it was. But I thought I would have something positive to talk to you all about. But a few seconds before the meeting even began, Julian texted me, and I didn't have time to read the entire text because I was literally going into the Zoom meeting, but I did see the preview pop up, and all it said was, I just got fired, so I kind of knew what I was going into at that point. All of my optimistic energy was gone. So I took a deep breath, clicked on the Zoom button, and started my wonderful meeting. And instead of telling you what happened, this time I'm just going to let you hear it for yourself. Quick note, I did alter HR and Jenny's voice a bit because I am worried I'm going to get into legal trouble for all of this. I looked it up, and while I am legally allowed to record these meetings without letting them know, I'm not necessarily allowed to play it on YouTube without altering their voices. Apparently that could get me in trouble, so I'm just going to play it safe here, but here you go.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. Thank you for being here with us, meeting with us today. I'm going to get straight to the point. After ongoing discussions regarding performance expectations and overall job responsibilities, we have made the decision to end your employment with effective today. We'll walk you through the next steps, including final pay, benefits, information, and onboarding details. Do you have any questions before it moves into those details?
Yes. Can we go over the expectations not met?
Well, as you know, the travel and expenses, the company's reimbursement policy requires employees to submit eligible expenses for reimbursement rather than funding expenses directly. So this policy applies to everyone consistently across.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and have had conversations about these expectations. And so she's provided feedback and discussed the expectations over time. And ultimately, we made the decision to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't think that's very fair. I don't think that's right. Since I started this company almost 3 years almost 3 years ago, it's been a okay situation for us to go out and big expenses would be covered. I don't understand why it suddenly changed. I think it was unreasonable for people to expect us to make that change on a dime. We went from having a few $100s worth of expenses to literal thousands dollars worth of expenses. And I think it's pretty crappy that I'm losing my job because I can't afford those expenses.
I understand it's difficult, and the decision was made based on ongoing concerns and expectations of that role. And I know we've discussed and you've spoken to, and it's just across the board that is the policy for all employees.
All right.
I'm going to go over a number of offboarding details, and then there's some additional information about pay stubs and W-2 that will be included in this packet that I'll be sending you. Do you have any questions about any of the items I just covered?
No, I'm still just surprised. Am I really the only one at this company that is having a hard time with these expenses?
We're not. I mean, I'm not going to go into details of other employees, but this expense policy is company-wide, and it is the policy that we've been following for quite some time now. So it is the expectation company-wide. And as we discussed, we are working towards being consistent across the company, and so that's what this is about, is making sure that everyone is following the policy and the procedures consistently.
But you'll have to see how crazy this is, right? I'm getting terminated for not being able to pay for expenses.
That's not the reason.
That is the reason, though, because everything would be able to get done if I were able to put up thousands of dollars out of pocket. That's what this comes down to.
And we've provided feedback and discussed the expectations.
Uh-huh.
It's been very clear about the expectations, and the expectations to travel and fulfill the job responsibilities is what was not met.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Did you have any other questions about any of the offboarding items that I went over?
No, you explained it pretty clear.
All right. Well, I'm going to send all this information to your personal email. I'm a resource if you have any questions. I just wanted to say that we appreciate your contributions during your time here, and we wish you the best moving forward.
So that was my first time listening to that since actually getting fired. Yesterday I couldn't even think about pressing play on that button because it sucks, man. It really sucks. If it sounds like I didn't fight for myself enough, that's the impression I got from it. I was really just shocked. You hear about it and then it finally happens and you gotta take it. At that point, they don't want you, and after that's been known, you don't really want them. And I feel bad for Jenny. You know, Jenny didn't want to do that. Jenny's my friend. So I was pretty devastated, to say the least. I even told my wife the night before, something felt weird. I can just see the writing on the wall, but I still didn't know it was going to happen the next day. Wednesday was for sure rough. I've never been fired before, and being fired for essentially being too broke is extremely odd. You know, like if I were a bad worker or someone who didn't meet deadlines or just did bad work, I'd at least see the reason for my termination, and I could work on being better. I could look inwards and see where I needed to improve for my next job. But getting fired for not having money to pay company travel is so odd. It's like an unsatisfying gut punch. I don't feel like I let myself down or my wife down. I feel like I've been let down by a system in place where this is not only accepted but completely legal and in wealthy circles greatly encouraged. I have been pretty secretive on this channel because of legal concerns, but I will say this, you know, I live in Texas. It's one of the worst states for employee rights as far as I know. I don't know if I have any legal grounds to fight this. I certainly don't feel very financially set to hire a lawyer. But if someone is well versed in Texas employment laws, feel free to share some advice. I know that HR said that this has been the policy for some time, and maybe it has, but it hasn't been for me. I never once saw it in writing when I got hired, and I discussed it with director himself about covering these larger expenses, and the original HR and finance people were totally on board with letting me and Julian do that. You know, they would cover hotels, planes, luggage, rental cars, all of that would be covered on the department card. But as of April 1st, it just changed. It was a set no, and the consequences of that were we weren't able to go out and do 4 shoots, and that was a big deal for them. What makes me even more mad, Julian and I have been so gaslit by almost everyone we've talked to in this situation, and we've been told that nobody's complaining really about the expense policy. Well, I did reach out to a friend of mine who also works at this company, but he lives in another state, and I decided to reach out to him and just let him know, hey, I got canned. I learned that we were definitely not the only ones complaining about this. Or at least we weren't the only ones having a hard time. And I also got a glimpse into some of the great lengths people have to go through just to work at this company, and it's sad, man. Here's the text conversation. And when I read these, I apologize for the colorful language. I was pretty upset when I was having this conversation. Yo, company doesn't write this in the group Slack chat, but me and Julian got canned today. Just thought you would like to know. Thanks for the heads up. Fuck them. Fuck them. He then goes on to tell me he might have some job opportunities for us, which is really nice. Tell me the juicy details if it's not too raw. They fired us because we couldn't afford to pay for all the work travel expenses up front. We asked them if they could cover big things like $800 luggage fees on the plane, rental cars, and flights. Things they were already covering for us for 3 years. This is where my jaw dropped. Dog, I've had to borrow from family to make this company work from time to time. The expectation on work expenses and the time they take to get it back to us is unreal. That's the most fucked up reason I can even imagine. The financial pressure we're all under traveling is unreal. People at the top forget what it's like to need to earn money for a living. Dude, they made it seem like Julian and I were the only ones complaining about it. My wife is mad about it on a weekly basis. These guys owe me $7,000 plus right now. And sometimes it's more. Unreal. I'm not afraid to say it. I did tear up a little when I got those texts. And not only because what my friend has to go through just to work at this company, but just hearing someone else finally talk about it, that doesn't make me feel crazy. Like, me and Julian got so much validation from that. We've been gaslit for so long over this, being made to feel like we are failing and just not as good as most people in that company. What they're doing is absolutely monstrous. And I don't care what people say, this is not normal. But I mean, imagine. Having to ask your family if they could spot you a few grand just so you could go to work that week. Not for your benefit, but for the company's benefit. Like, what are we doing? Jenny once told me the reason CEO and Mary don't understand why it's such an issue is because they're so rich that they can't fathom people not having money to drop on these big conferences for them. Rich people out of touch is what this boils down to. A tale as old as time and one that's far past its life expectancy. Meanwhile, they spend all this money on lavish company dinners for partners, upwards of $20,000 for one dinner if you all forgot, and use us to pay for thousands of dollars worth of expenses while they reimburse it later and write it all off on taxes. It's our financial pain for their financial gain. But are we surprised here? Like, remember, we also learned that this company is borrowing money every year just to make ends meet. So why wouldn't they be unbearable monsters who take advantage of their employees in the time of a dying economy where a job is one of the most sought after things right now? I'd genuinely be surprised if they're around in the next few years. And while I don't hope people lose their jobs, a company like this has no place in education or society. And if you think that's harsh, for those of you who didn't catch it in a previous video, this is an edtech company that is supposed to help educate the next generations, mold the minds of learners. The CEO pulled all real photos out of our textbook the week before it needed to be sent off. And he had one person, in secret, replace all of those images with AI images, just to save a buck. Because, kids don't actually need accurate visuals of the things they're not familiar with. Oh, and another reminder, the entire curriculum is written by ChatGPT now. Julian and I were the only ones in the company who refused to use AI in our processes. Probably another reason CEO was happy to fire us, because that man is so AI obsessed that I don't even think he can wipe his own ass without ChatGPT telling him how to hold the toilet paper first. And you know what? While I'm at it, this donut is so fragile that any thought from a woman in his company that goes against what he thinks literally makes him turn on them. He hired a social media person recently, like last December, and loved her. Bragged about her whenever we were at our big company meeting. And she has an extensive marketing and social media background. This is someone whom I worked with personally over the past few months and can confirm without a shadow of a doubt she knows what the heck she's talking about. She was in a meeting recently with this old white-haired, fake teeth, small chin jackass of a person and was literally bouncing ideas off of him after he presented an idea for social media. She was literally doing what she was hired to do. Be collaborative with people who don't understand how social media or marketing works. Take their idea and make it work for social media. And then suddenly, he didn't trust her. He would actually badmouth her to everyone at the company. He even got wind recently that she was working on one of those scripts that we were writing, and the script all of a sudden needed update simply because she was involved. I wish I were joking. So genuinely, this company can collapse, and most people would actually be better off if it does. Alright. I don't want to end this video on a sour note. Please listen, and I hope this speaks to all of you watching. My experience is not fully unique to me. Things like this are happening all over to millions of people in the country and probably billions of us in the world. And while this is not okay, I want to let everyone know, as someone whose chest is tight and stomach is in knots, trying to plan for a future that's uncertain, you are going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Because the beauty of being human is that we're resilient, and though we don't often welcome change, sometimes being forced out the door is the exact kick in the ass we need to pick up the pieces of a life we built and make something new and beautiful. I'll talk to you soon. Take care and keep up the good work. Later.